Let's turn now to packaging claims. Cosmetics, in my view, is an area that, with the greatest respect, has endured a significant free ride for a very long time. But I think that tide is turning. This is a UK decision from November last year, and it involved a television commercial for a product called Skin Lightening Advanced 3-in-1 Cream. And what it was found that this product and these claims were misleading. The product name, Nurse 76 Skin Lightening Advanced 3-in-1, implied an efficacy claim, and therefore evidence was required to support it if it were challenged. And the claim wasn't substantiated, and therefore the claim was held to be misleading. One of the things that was interesting about this was that the UK Advertising Standards Authority was focused on substantiation by reference to whether there was evidence of a controlled, blind, non-consumer use test, which I think starts to send some useful messages about the sorts of things that enforcement authorities in the future will be looking for in terms of substantiation, particularly with cosmetics. Turning now to a New Zealand decision. This involved a cereal company called Hubbard's Foods, and they had an advertisement for a new, what they called real cereal, which included an image of the cereal box that included the nutritional claim that the cereal contained 40% more protein. And this was followed by an asterisk. And then the small print that the asterisk referred to was on the side of the pack, not the front of the pack, but on the side of the pack. And the extra information stated that the product had 40% more protein than another Hubbard's cereal. This was found to be a breach. It's found to be misleading because the overall consumer takeout from the advertisement was that despite the inclusion of the asterisk, and it's very important if you take nothing away from this presentation, it's very important to remember that asterisks are not get-out-of-jail-free cards. It's really, really important that you remember that. And don't let your agency tell you that they are. So the problem was that given the asterisk information couldn't be read unless the consumer had the actual cereal box, then it was likely to mislead or deceive, because the point of sale material simply had the asterisk that had the claim, but if it was point of sale and you didn't have the box right close to you, you couldn't see the asterisks and the qualification on the side of the box. I want to turn now to deal with a couple of cases involving impressions. I think both of them come from Australia. The first was just before Christmas and involved National Foods, and in particular a product called Berry Australian Fresh, which suggested that it only contained juice that was recently squeezed. The ACCC took the view, rightly in my view, that the product wasn't fresh because the products contained a blend of fresh juice and aseptically stored juice. Effectively, aseptically stored juice means the juice has been stored in sterile bags for anything up to 12 months. The lesson that you take from this decision, and National Foods, which is another client, but I hasten to add not in Australia, is going to have to change the packaging of that entire range, now to call it Australian grown, not Australian fresh. The lessons here to be learned is that while fresh is not defined anywhere in law, a product being described as fresh has got to be fresh in the sense understood by consumers. It's really important to remember that scientific definitions are interesting, but what the consumer authorities are looking for is the way in which a term is understood by the consumer. Really important thing to remember. Now, the ACCC took the view, and I think they were absolutely right, that consumers could be prepared to pay a premium for fresh products. So if you want to take advantage of a customer preference for fresh, you've got to be very careful you don't make misleading claims. This next one, again, is a just before Christmas decision from Australia. It involved sanitarium. And this is just another in a very long line of decisions involving the Commerce Commission and the ACCC, where they're going after folks who are making claims about the quantity of products in their own, the quantity of ingredients in their products. And this is a great example. This is Sanitarium made a number of representations on its packaging of a number of its cereals with prominent and bold colouring in association with images of fruits and fruit descriptor words such as wild berry and apricot, where the cereals only contained a small amount of these fruits. I'm sure many of you have opened up new cereal at home only to be incredibly disappointed about the difference between what's on the box and what's in the pack. And this is a good example of this. This was found to be misleading because the overall impression of the labelling and the overall impression of the labelling and the representations was that there was considerably more fruit in the box than there actually was. And so, not surprisingly, the ACCC and the Commerce Commission as well have acted for a number of companies in New Zealand who have had the same sort of difficulties with the Commerce Commission. We've managed to settle all of them without getting prosecuted. But it's very important that the actual contents of a product, and it doesn't matter whether it's food or something else, but the contents of the product have to match the overall impression that's given by the packaging. So no exaggeration. And then finally, I thought you might be interested in this decision from the UK, which is about statistics and surveys. This is a classic. But this is from November last year. And this was an ad for Nivea Visage Anti-Wrinkle Q10 Plus. Now, if I can say to all of the folks in the audience who are involved in cosmetics, I can't for the life of me understand why you make these long names up. I don't know, I'm not sure why, but in any event, the Nivea Visage Anti-Wrinkle Q10 Plus made the statement that 37% of women feel more attractive now than they did 10 years ago. And they had a super that said on the TVC, 37% of 12,267 women interviewed, which is a great sample size. The only problem was that the claim was misleading because the survey was simply generally asking women whether they agreed with the claim, I feel more attractive today than I did 10 years ago, which had nothing to do with the product. It was just a general question. So there was no relationship between the product and the survey results. And not surprisingly, the ad was misleading. And this is Baiersdorf. This is not some tinny small operation out the back of a garage. And so the lesson here is that if you're going to use statistics or surveys, then surprise, surprise, there has to be a relationship between the results and the product. So that's Baiersdorf. So a couple of final points. First of all, I'm going to be really interested to hear the presentation on social media, which I think is later today. We have been trialling this in my team since last July. We've had a Twitter site, and we're looking to see whether that will work or not. For any of those of you who wish to receive tweets, and we're tweeting about twice a week with the amount of stuff that's coming out at the moment, then surprise, surprise, give me your business card with the word Twitter on the back, and we'll send you a link so that you can have those sent to you free of charge. Equally, we also produce newsletters with the amount of material that's happening and the dynamic nature of the sales and marketing law industry in New Zealand. We tend to issue those about once a month. So again, if you'd like to receive those, again, free of charge, send me your business card and write FYI on the back. And finally, if I could make a plea, over the next day and a half, there's a wonderful opportunity to ask Garth and I just about anything about New Zealand, the New Zealand business situation, and what's coming down the pipe, whether it's in your industry or generally for marketers, and to do so knowing the answer will cost you absolutely nothing. Both of us, and I'm sure I speak for both Garth and myself, both of us want to make sure that you and your businesses succeed, and this is one way that we can help. So don't hesitate if you've got a question to come up to us in the next day and a half, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you. But in the meantime, thank you very much.